The first movie that made me wonder how movies were made was Jurassic Park when I was young. And then I started to pay attention to who makes films and how they are made. And then when I went to film school, I saw a film called All the Real Girls by David Gordon Green that changed my taste. In one movie, my taste changed dramatically to what I wanted to see and what I wanted to make.
The film that probably inspired me most directly to consider even making documentaries was one of the first verite documentaries ever made, Primary, about JFK in I believe 1960, if I'm right about that.
For me, it really came out of the new journalism of the late 60s and early 70s. For me, it was all about the man in the white suit, Tom Wolfe, and all the new journalism writers.
How close do we feel to the characters? Wow, that's a big question. I guess, I mean, for me, you know, I came to the subject of Anthony Weiner in my documentary through a long relationship. I actually knew him many years prior to starting to film, and so it was really just having met him and gotten to know him as well as I did, and realizing that he's this incredibly dynamic, you know, multifaceted person who, you know, even before he had his sex scandal, I thought he would be an interesting subject for a documentary just because he has such a big personality.
You know, I came to the story of J.T. Leroy when the story broke in 2006, so it was already represented to the world as an absolutely fascinating character, and there was a lot of layers to get behind and understand the author, who, of course, is Laura Albert. So reading that work somehow through the art, and I think I get to know a lot of my subjects through their art first, same as Daniel Johnston, and that to me tells me more about a person than just meeting them one-on-one. I don't think the goal is like that you have to be eccentric. I just think that the people I'm somehow attracted to are unique characters, therefore they can be a film.
A little bit different for me since I wrote my film from scratch, so I don't have to find myself in the character. I usually start from myself and then take it away from myself. So Morris is a character that started off being very autobiographical, and then over the course of writing the film and then putting it together, slowly becomes less and less like me and becomes a person of his own. For me, I tend to like films that are grounded and realistic. They just hold my interest more, and if there's an authenticity, I think it's much harder to capture a awkward exchange than it is to film a car chase.
So, as a nonfiction filmmaker, the one thing I've been doing with both Devil and Daniel Johnston in this film is applying three-act dramatic structure to an absolutely true story, and I feel like that is what can give an audience the sense that they didn't just see a documentary or they didn't just see a narrative film with actors. Somehow it comes together, and emotionally the outcome will be, wow, I just saw, hopefully, a great film.
Well, I think one of the best things that can happen as a documentary filmmaker is that along the way the story completely changes into something totally different than what you thought at the outset, which is certainly to some degree the case with Weiner, with this film about Anthony Weiner's campaign, which had sort of a natural narrative structure to it, as campaigns do, but of course no one could have predicted that the events unfolded the way that they did. You know, you don't start off making a political documentary expecting to end with a chase scene, which you actually do in Weiner.
This is the third film I've made, and the other two never ever had a screening in France. They weren't released either, so it's just a huge opportunity, and then who knows? You know, you never know what can happen if somebody sees your movie. So the fact that now it's playing in France, anything can happen, but nothing can happen if it doesn't play. So
I'm hopeful as well that you know, my film can find distribution in France and in Europe generally.
The purpose of making these films is you just want people to see them. And, you know, I love to have a French audience see Author, and I'm hopeful with the exposure from this fantastic festival that perhaps there'll be a French distributor that would release the film here. So that's my goal.
That's okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I just do it.
I was like, what?